I can say one thing confidently about this fight. Somebody will win this one, and somebody will lose this one. I can also say that both guys are dog shit in my opinion. I think they both kind of suck. Paddy Pimblett just might be more shit than BSD. And you know, the funny thing is both guys do some things pretty well. Like I think BSD has nice clinch work and overall pretty solid grappling, and Paddy Pimblett's very durable and has good jiu-jitsu. But the things that they do bad are so bad that it's laughable that they are this high up in the fucking sport. Like the boxing exchanges in this fight will starve families. They will not feed anybody, and they'll probably set the division back at least 1,000 years. And that's why I think this fight is so incredibly interesting, because it is beautifully mid. It is beautifully garbage. Like initially when this fight was announced, I was all over BSD. I've never been really a big Paddy Pimblett fan. Also, at one point, I fucking hated BSD. The Poirier knockout was one of my favorite moments in recent MMA history, watching BSD go out cold. But I bought into this guy. I'm like, ah, shit, this Marauder's pretty fun to watch. Like, Paddy Pimblett, he fucking sucks. And then I watched back the tape and realized something. BSD is also kind of fucking garbage. And, you know, man, I've been tossing and turning thinking about this fight, where it's like, one day I'm thinking, oh, BSD, he should win this one. Next day, Paddy Pimblett should win this one. Because on one hand, you have BSD, who he's French, so he's a loser. He has staff pretty much every fight. He smells. He's very slow. He shoots takedowns with his fucking head down and pretty much gives up his neck on every single takedown for a guillotine. Has terrible boxing. Is chinny. Has no real head movement. But does have good clinch work and is very physical and has relentless pressure. And then you have Paddy Pimblett, who also has no head movement or defense, can't offensively wrestle whatsoever, can't really finish you on the feet at all, can't really box for shit, will make like a good read every now and then that looks terrible, but he'll somehow fucking clip you, has good jiu-jitsu, but man, I can only seem to really focus on the negatives with these guys. And in this video, I'm going to try and kind of break down some of their recent fights and just talk about different things that I think they can exploit on the other one, and just kind of go through their recent history of fights, because their last couple fights are definitely fun to watch, and I'm just so intrigued by this matchup because I could see it really going either way. And let's just start off by going through some of BSD's recent history. Let's talk about the Dan Hooker fight, because my initial like memory of this Dan Hooker fight was like BSD looked amazing the whole time, and he just kicked Dan Hooker's ass. And boy, could I have been more wrong. And before I actually say something about this Dan Hooker fight, Joe Rogan, because I watched back the 2 minutes of the Dariush fight, or however fuck the 10 seconds of the Dariush fight. Dariush goes out fucking limp, like doesn't even know where he is. And Joe Rogan's trying to say, man, I think that stoppage was kind of early. I think he was still in it. Beneil Dariush didn't know where the fuck he was. I just wanted to put that out there before I started fucking talking about the Dan Hooker fight. Now, I'll say this. Like, the Dan Hooker fight, Dan Hooker was doing well to start this fight off. Was blasting, you know, BSD with those front kicks, teeps to the body, and was slowing down and bothering BSD, also defending takedowns really well. But then Dan Hooker decided to like initiate grappling, I believe at some point in the second round, and got reversed, and then BSD fucking just stayed on top of him for the rest of the round, had him in like an arm triangle, tried for Americana, just smothered Dan Hooker and then busted him up with 100 elbows as Herb Dean watched Dan Hooker turn into a fucking human pinata. But I will go through this fight because in my notes here, the fight starts out, I'm just thinking BSD is so fucking slow. Dan Hooker's having a ton of success with these front kicks to the body, and BSD immediately shoots in and just immediately gets into a guillotine. And, you know, he gives up his neck, somehow rolls out because Dan Hooker has no fucking fight IQ whatsoever. You know, and then I think there's another instance where he shoots again and actually has his head on the inside. So that was a better adjustment from him. But I just kept writing out everything BSD throws with his hands is so fucking slow. Like his body kicks and his head kicks, I do think are pretty good. And I'll talk about that a little bit later because that was more utilized in the Ruffy fight, in my opinion. He lands a late takedown at the end, or I think towards the end of round one, tries for Kimura to get back to his feet. And this is where kind of BSD shows his true BSD fucking marauding style, where he's just pushing forward, eating a bunch of punches, landing a bunch of stuff, and then landing a late takedown. So at this point, I'm like, yeah, he's down 1-0. Round two comes around. BSD's just continuing to shoot with his fucking head down like a fucking idiot. He's relentless with them. It doesn't matter if you stop him. He'll just keep shooting. I mean, it's hilarious. He, I believe, pushes Dan Hooker to the fence, trying to work a takedown, and then Dan Hooker kind of gets that guillotine grip in again. Dan Hooker, this is again why I alluded to before, tries to get that takedown on BSD and just ends up fucking getting reversed. BSD essentially just finishes the fight from there, where it's kind of minutes of him working an arm triangle that he couldn't finish whatsoever, working elbows, just relentless ground and pound, and Dan Hooker not forcing any scrambles. It was ugly. I mean, Dan Hooker, I think if he had any kind of fight IQ, could have won this fight. For some reason in my mind, I had kind of blocked BSD's actual performance down this fight and just made up my own narrative. I think if you would have told me how did BSD do in this fight before rewatching, like, oh, BSD just fucking destroyed him. Dan Hooker had no moment success. Round 1, Dan Hooker was looking pretty sharp, and then he wanted to be a fucking idiot in round 2, and BSD proceeded to kick his ass. And it was weird because, again, I kind of had this notion that BSD had just continued to vastly improve throughout his time in the UFC. This fight was like a downgrade from his previous 2, I guess, against Dariush, which he barely saw anything against, and the Ruffy fight. I'll talk about the Ruffy fight. Now, the thing that does worry me, back to the relation of Paddy Pimblett to Dan Hooker here, is Paddy Pimblett, I know, hasn't had a fucking ton of guillotine submissions. I don't really know how many he's had in his career, but there was a point in the Bobby Green fight where Bobby Green shot in on a fucking takedown, and it was sloppy. Paddy gets that guillotine grip in, and then transitions over to, I believe, a fucking, what did he fucking get him? What did he get him? With a triangle choke, and submitted Bobby Green out cold. So that does worry me for BSD. This guy gives up his neck so many fucking times. And Paddy Pimblett is great with his jiu-jitsu. He can initiate offensive wrestling, but if you're going to try and shoot in on him and try and initiate your own takedowns, Paddy Pimblett could pull fucking guard. He can, do some trips on you. He can fucking reverse position. He can get submissions off of you. That does worry me for BSD, just his overall ability to give up his fucking neck. And also, kind of being a little bit susceptible to the body. Because one of the things Paddy Pimblett does do well is fucking his body kicks, his knees, his leg kicks in general. I think the kicks are going to be a big weapon for Paddy Pimblett. But let's talk about the Ruffy fight, because I think this is kind of peak BSD. And when I think of like prime, really good BSD performances, I'm thinking of this one against Mauricio Ruffy in France. Now, I think this performance gets a little bit of an asterisk on it, because the only reason, in my opinion, BSD came out here and looked like fucking insane is because BSD had that French crowd behind him. That French crowd gave this guy, made him into like a fucking 99 overall. He was plus 10 in every attribute. He looked insane. I mean, he still looked like BSD, but he just looked like the best version of him, where he looked so comfortable working the body and head kicks and kind of just keeping Mauricio Ruffy the entire fight very reactive and just not really doing anything. Just Mauricio Ruffy just looked very hesitant the entire time, with BSD just being relentless with his takedowns, smothering him the whole time. One thing that I do think kind of gets lost in history with this fight is Mauricio Ruffy, I mean, like, he would get taken down, or maybe he would stop the initial takedown, but he did a great job a couple times in this fight where he'd even give up his back and manage to get back up to his feet and even reverse positions at times. So, like, as much as I think this was a pretty really solid BSD performance, like, Ruffy, I still think, had moments in this fight, and it has aged well for him in terms of, yeah, it was a bad performance by him, but he is shown to have gotten better. I don't think this is a bad loss by any means. Sorry for a little Mauricio Ruffy fucking side note, but BSD just kind of in this fight, it felt like, blobbed up on Ruffy, made him very wary of the takedowns, and just kind of worked the head and body kicks very well. I believe at one point, how the fight ends is like, he lands a takedown or a trip takedown on the fence. Ruffy kind of reverse positions to get up on top. One thing that I had forgotten, I wrote here in my notes, there were multiple times where Mauricio Ruffy kind of scrambles back up top and, BSD still on the ground and doesn't re-enter his fucking guard or follow him to the ground, which doesn't really make any sense to me, because I don't think BSD is very good off his back, and I don't think he's like this insane guy on the ground where it's like, his ground and pound is very good, yes, but he's not a guy who's necessarily finishing submissions off of you. Like, he fucking worked the crank on Mauricio Ruffy, like, oh, whoop-de-doo, real fucking impressive, but, took him back down right after that and then finished him with whatever, the fucking neck crank, face crank, rear naked choke, whatever it was. But this was a very good performance from him, where he shut down all of the offense of Mauricio Ruffy, made him very scared of the takedown, and just kind of dominated him and fucking bullied him. This was peak BSD Marauder, where he just didn't get hit with anything and just destroyed Mauricio Ruffy. This fight, like, it's not necessarily relevant to Paddy Pimblett in any way, in like the sense that Ruffy and Pimblett don't fight anything like each other, and I think Pimblett also with his submission threat, you know, it's just a completely different fight. But I did want to talk about this one because this was really, I still can't believe he fucking destroyed Musa Ruffy like this. It still kind of pisses me off a little bit. But let's talk about Paddy Pimblett, because obviously I've mentioned him. I've said BSD gives up his neck a lot. That's going to be a weapon for Paddy Pimblett. The kicks will be a weapon of Paddy Pimblett. But let's look through a couple of Paddy Pimblett's recent performances, starting off with the Chandler fight. Now, he kicks Michael Chandler's ass for 3 rounds, essentially. I did kind of forget that early on, and this does kind of worry me for Paddy, Michael Chandler was kind of out grappling Paddy for a little bit, where he was, you know, returning him back to the mat. I think Paddy Pimblett, even though he's like a big lightweight in terms of height, I still don't think he's incredibly strong. I think BSD has a big physicality advantage over him, and I do think some of those body lock and clinch entries for BSD, which he's always gets himself in, can be really good for him, and he can beat Paddy up and get him down from there. But I do think in this fight against Michael Chandler was still a very sharp performance for Paddy Pimblett, where you saw a lot of really nice kicking game for him in the leg and the calf kicks. Did get out grappled by Michael Chandler in that first round where he was getting slammed a lot. But I thought Paddy Pimblett was like working the jab well. It might not be a pretty jab, but he did even show that against Gaethje, I believe, in the third round, where he was kind of landing occasional head kicks. And if you don't believe he was getting out grappled, look at fucking Paddy Pimblett. He was shitting himself right here. Fucking Iron Mike scaring the shit out of him. But, you know, really after round 1, Paddy Pimblett did kind of take advantage and just dominate this fight, where I think he just was landing a lot more on Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's shit footwork, where he has no clue how to enter on anything, just kind of, it got exposed. And round 3 kind of comes along. Paddy Pimblett lands a big knee, hurts Michael Chandler really badly, just kind of chases him around. There was also, I will say, because I can't really, this is only recent Paddy Pimblett fights I was really watching through. He actually attempted or got in a single leg, had a really nice transition to the back, and dumped Michael Chandler. And then that kind of ended up leading to him finishing Iron Mike. He had Michael Chandler bleeding like a fucking bitch also, by the way. Just pummeled him on the ground. Michael Chandler absolutely sucks. Impressive performance by Pimblett. I know Michael Chandler's absolutely shit, but I really liked how Paddy just kind of came out here. A lot of people were doubting him. Even me in the moment, I kind of was just like, Paddy Pimblett, not very good. I figured out Michael Chandler coming off a loss to Charles, where he kind of had some real moments in that 5th round. They were all illegal moments, by the way, where he nearly finished Charles. He could probably beat Paddy Pimblett. Boy, was I wrong. Paddy Pimblett fucking kicked his ass. But in this fight, it did worry me a little bit how you kind of could see Michael Chandler impose his physicality early on Paddy. And I could see BSD, obviously a bigger lightweight than Michael Chandler. And I would probably say stronger. I think Michael Chandler's all fucking fake strength. This dude fucking sucks. But it does kind of worry me that Paddy Pimblett could be kind of out-physicaled by a BSD in clinch entries and just body lock takedowns overall. But I don't really remember Michael Chandler landing much of consequence in this fight. Let's talk about the Gaethje fight, because I do think this fight has some relevance to BSD in the sense that, like, BSD obviously nowhere near, I don't know if I was blocking Michael Chandler's face that entire time, but I apologize. BSD obviously nowhere near the same level of as a striker as a Justin Gaethje. But one thing that really bothered Paddy Pimblett in this one, I think could be a really big issue for him, is he had a really high tendency in this one to get stuck on the fence and just couldn't get off the fence whatsoever. It really was prevalent in rounds 1 and 2, where Gaethje was just having his way, landing those crafty eye pokes, knocking down, just battering Paddy Pimblett for the first 2 rounds, where Paddy Pimblett, like, did he have some moments against a staff-riddled Gaethje? Yes, where he's, you know, landing dumb looping shit and kind of landing his jab every now and then. Like, as bad as Paddy's striking looks, like, it does work in ways where he can make decent reads, land his jab, land these dumb wire out uppercuts. Kind of looks like fucking Popeye the Sailor Man, if you ask me. But yeah, he did have problems in this fight, just getting stuck on the cage overall and just kind of struggling with an elite level striker as a Justin Gaethje. Just that was kind of the case for the first 2 rounds. There were crafty eye pokes, as mentioned earlier, that Mark Goddard didn't really see at all. I did right here in round 3, which was Paddy Pimblett's best round. Dean Thomas opens up the round saying Paddy's corner is begging him to get a takedown, and I wrote, funny, he has no fucking wrestling whatsoever. He did start doing a better job taking the center, landing his jab, landing dumb overhands that look like fucking hammer fists. Joe Rogan at some point in this round started talking about a fake, I believe, Justin Gaethje broken hand that didn't exist. But Paddy Pimblett legitimately did have Justin Gaethje hurt at times in this third round. Also, I believe there was a nice flying knee to the balls at some point, but really good round for Paddy. I felt like the fourth and the fifth round, did he do a little bit of a better job taking the center of the octagon and landing on Justin Gaethje? Yes, but it wasn't good enough to win this fight. And just Justin Gaethje was too crafty with his cheating and just his overall fucking striking. But Paddy Pimblett, if he wants to beat BSD, is going to need to stay off the fucking fence. He's going to need to work that front kick to the body on BSD a lot. Establish the center of the octagon. Establish his jab, because in all honesty, from watching these fights, I think Paddy Pimblett might have better hands than a fucking BSD. His fucking jabs are so slow. I was watching him throw the jab to the body on Dan Hooker. It looked like he was in fucking quicksand. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Paddy Pimblett, I think, is a better striker. Overall, I think BSD might have a better head kick, but it's still slow. Like, he does hit hard. I think I give BSD the advantage in terms of just pure finishing ability. I think he's a better finisher than a Paddy Pimblett, but he has a worse chin. He's a lot slower than Paddy. I'd probably say he's a little bit, they're both not clean whatsoever. Again, as I just talk and go through these fights, I'm just remembering how shit both of these guys are. They're both fucking goofy as all shit. But again, I am really excited for this one, because it could go multiple different ways, where I think you could definitely see an early finish for Paddy Pimblett, where BSD just, again, shoots one of those takedowns, gives up his neck really badly, and Paddy Pimblett just locks in a rear naked choke, and he fucking wins it. That wouldn't shock me whatsoever. I could also see BSD kind of just grind out Paddy Pimblett for 3 rounds, do more damage, where he's having a lot of success in the clinch, landing some takedowns, and maybe just being bigger and stronger than a Paddy Pimblett and just kind of blobbing him a little bit. And maybe Paddy's throwing up some submissions off his back, but can't really do anything with them. I'm still kind of split on this one. I don't really know if I'll have an official prediction until tomorrow when I do my whole, full card breakdown. I'm leaning BSD right now just because I think he's slightly better than Paddy Pimblett. I don't even know if I've talked about, I think Paddy's a better striker and maybe a better grappler, but I think the physicality from BSD is going to be a bit of a problem for Paddy that is going to have to navigate. I do think Paddy does kind of have an easier path to victory as long as BSD shoots a bad takedown, which he will, and Paddy can lock in a guillotine. I know Poirier couldn't get in there, but I imagine Paddy Pimblett has a better guillotine than Dustin Poirier. Also, one thing I want to say about BSD's defense, which is absolutely fucking awful. I don't know if Paddy Pimblett can actually make him pay without bad as defenses. Like, can he really rock BSD? I don't know. I don't really know if Paddy Pimblett can seriously injure somebody with his hands. So we'll fucking find out on Saturday night, brother. But either way, I'm really excited for this one. Leaning BSD again. Just think he's maybe slightly less shit than Paddy Pimblett. I don't fucking know. The more I talk about this fight, the more I can't figure it out. I think I'm going to have to listen to some other people talk about this one. But in this video, again, thank you all for watching. Just wanted to kind of go over some of their recent performances, things I liked, things I didn't like, concerns I have for both guys. I'm leaning BSD, but again, I don't really fucking know. I've repeated myself 100 times at the end of this video. If you're new here, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for the love over on TikTok. We hit 2K on TikTok. Road to 1,000 on Instagram. I want to just keep going harder on YouTube, but fucking sometimes it's hard. It's hard being a hero sometimes, guys. Being a fucking working in EMS. Whatever. Batman by fucking night. Cage Doctor by day. If you're new here, remember, again, fucking like, comment, subscribe. The Doctor is signing off. Fucking. Hopefully this fucking fight's good.